mean, the term buy-in? We hear it all the time. I want my students to buy in. Well, buy-in means that the students want it more than you. They want their own success more than you want their success. Now, the key element here is that it's not about your ego, it's not about your success. There is no way that your students will want you to be more successful than you want to be successful, right? Let me say that again. There is no way that your students will want you to be successful more than you will want to be successful. That's not what teaching is all about. Teaching is about getting our students to be successful. And if we want our students to be as successful as possible, they have to want to be successful more than we want them to be. So, how do we do this? Well, we have to create a culture that allows them and encourages them to become successful. That starts with our own mission. Our mission is kind of like our North Star. It's what do we want our students to be able to accomplish for themselves, not what do we want them to do for us. What do we want them to accomplish for themselves and why? The next thing we want to do is make sure that that is clarified and explained to our students. So, for example, we want to be able to say to them, I want you to be skilled musicians who care about one another, who use music to build community. You're telling them what you want them to be able to do, not what you want to be able to do, what you want them to be able to do. So you've clarified your mission. And in the Choral Clarity Collective, that's what we do. The first thing we do is we learn to clarify our own individual mission. Then we're going to create a community, an environment that is built around that mission. That's why we have guidelines. That's why we have expectations. That's why we have routines. That's why we redirect behavior that doesn't align with that mission and those goals. After we've done that, our goal is to inspire our students to want to learn. They can accomplish so much more than what we can teach them. The world is a classroom. YouTube itself is a classroom. If they were motivated to learn a skill, they could learn it on YouTube. However, they're not going to go onto YouTube to learn a skill until we've motivated them and explained to them how that skill is going to help them. So, our job is to cultivate this environment that is centered around a clear mission that we have taught them and encouraged them to accomplish alongside us. The mission is for them, it's not for us. We have then created the environment, we have repeatedly discussed the mission and made all of our decisions in the classroom aligned with that mission that is a student driven, student centered mission. And from there, we inspire them. We inspire them by the way that we teach. We inspire them by the exercises we choose and why we choose them, by the songs we choose and why we choose them and how we teach them. And we inspire them by explaining to them that the world is their classroom. Hey, you could learn more about this song by watching recordings, by listening to recordings on YouTube, or by going on Apple Music, or whatever it may be. Or if you want to learn how to beatbox, there are so many tutorials on YouTube. If you'd like, I could send you a few, but you could find them. Or you're learning a solo piece of repertoire, let's say something from the 24 Italian arias. I bet if you listen to 10 different recordings online, you will not only get your Italian down, but you will learn all different ways to interpret this piece of music. Or if you go on Google Translate and type in the song translated to English, you will be able to understand what every line means. And then you're going to work to understand what every word means. So you could become fluent in that language when you're singing that song. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to inspire them to want to do the work. I shouldn't be the one that is giving them all the information. I'm not the keeper of the information, because when I'm the keeper of the information, they're buying into me as the god of the classroom. I don't want to be the god of the classroom. I want to be the inspirer so they learn how to become more and more self sufficient and get them to be more and more motivated to accomplish their own goals. So buy-in comes from them buying in to the mission that you've created for them to succeed, to grow. And that mission has no end in sight. There's no mission like um, to do well at our concert. That's not a mission. The mission is a long term goal, a long term direction that never ends. There's always another step, there's always more growth. And it is a student driven goal. Really, I think individual student driven goal, not necessarily collective, meaning I want each student to feel like they can continually grow. Otherwise, if you make it a collective goal, then one student could be like, hey, I've already accomplished that. Why aren't you? Pointing to another student. And the reality is, if every student wants to continually grow, the group will grow. So we want our students to inspire each other individually so they collectively grow. And therefore, the buy in is all student driven. So think of buy-in as us creating the mission, creating the direction, getting our students to understand why that mission is helpful to them, making sure it is a student-driven goal, and then creating the environment that fosters that. There's a lot more to it, but that is the starting point. And one more thing about that, when students are driven toward a goal, there is no apathy. There is no um, boredom in the classroom, because everything you're doing, you could explain why this is going to help them to move forward along their journey to reach that goal. And the goal is continually um, the next step, the next step, the next step. There's no definitive finish line. The finish line gets pushed further and further and further back so they can continually grow in that direction. So I hope that explains buy-in, and it sets the tone for how you can create buy-in. And that in the Choral Clarity Collective, if you are a premium member or a VIP member, you have access to all of the courses that shows you step by step how to get there. That's what I hope you all learn from the collective. The community is here for everybody to discuss these goals, to work together here. But if you want to individually develop those skills in your classroom, I highly recommend being a premium member or a VIP member. And you could click any link to upgrade if you're already in the collective, or click the link just to join. Thank you all.